Welcome to Buckets, brought to you by DraftKings Sportsbook. The crown is yours. My name's MattMoore. I'm the senior NBA writer for the Action Network. This is your future Jays. We got one J this week, and then we got an F because Bryan Fonseca is here with us. We're going to do future bets in the association. We're also going to give you best bets for Monday, December 22nd in the association. Hope you guys are having a safe and healthy start to the holiday. If you've kickstarted it, hope you guys are doing so. Make sure to be safe out there. Make sure to drive. Keep your eyes up. Be safe out there because people are crazy this time of year on the roads if you're traveling. And then if you're watching the bets, be careful out there as well because things get tricky around the holiday too. We will talk about everything and everything that we talk about can be found in the award-winning Action Network app. It's the best way for you to track your picks. You get up the second information where the bets and money are coming in on. You can get $20 off an annual subscription for our pro service with code POD20. Just visit actionnetwork.com/pro. That's going to give you instant access to bets from Sean Kerner and Nick Giffen and Brandon Anderson and all of the heavyweights. You're going to get all of our tools, all of our system plays, all of those types of things, $20 off with code POD20 at actionnetwork.com/pro. Joined tonight by Joe Dellera at Joe Dellera, host of the Cash That podcast. He has been sick for 17 weeks. Much like my daughter, and so he will never be well ever again. Bryan Fonseca joins us, who you can catch him at Bryan Fonseca NY on Twitter, at Bryan Fonseca on YouTube. Where did you post your content from Jake Paul getting his face broken twice?
The boxing show that I do, the mandatory YouTube channel, and recently on my YouTube channel, I did have a boxing conversation, but that was about the big things happening at the top. In terms of the sport potentially going down the drain next year. So that's fun.
That's cool. That's cool. I am actually wearing a Christmas present tonight for my wife. I am rocking a Birmingham Squadron hat.
Let's go.
The Pelicans G League affiliate.
Wow. Hell wow.
She was like, what do you want for Christmas? And I was like, well, every man that's 40 and above is like, I want socks. And it's like, that's boring. Yeah. And it's like, yeah, but like, I want socks. Like, that's what I genuinely want. But she was like, what was something that would make you happy? And I was like, well, some basketball cards, the new Top set. I like a lot. So if you could get some of those. She actually got me the holiday advent calendar, which has been great.
It's fun.
I have like 17 copies of Carter Bryant for some reason, though I did pick up 2 Wembanyama cards, which is pretty cool with the holiday print. And I got Dylan Harper limited edition today, which is pretty sweet. But the other thing that I put on my Christmas list for her is I was like, I just want G League gear. That's all I want. I just want like hats and beanies from the G League. And so I'm hoping to get a few more under my tree, but this is one she gave me early, is my Birmingham Squadron hat here on youtube.com/the Action Network. So the Birmingham Squadron may be flying high. I don't know how they're doing, but I'll tell you one team that's not doing well in this Cleveland Cavaliers. The Cleveland Cavaliers are in trouble. It went from like, hey, like the Cavs aren't great to like, hey, like the Cavs are kind of struggling to like, hey, the Cavs are not good right now to, hey, are the Cavs going to pull out of this or not? In the last 8 games, the Cleveland Cavaliers are 3-5 with a minus 2.3 point differential. They have a loss to Charlotte Hornets. They have a loss to the Chicago Bulls. Every time it seems like they can't get worse, they get worse. I will note something pretty funny, which is I thought this was actually crazy. If you go look at who they've lost to, and you're like, because every night, you're following the association, and you're like, yeah, they just like, it feels like they keep losing to these like not great teams. And then you look at it, they have, of their losses, half of them are to the Bulls, the Celtics, and the Raptors. So they have lost twice to the Bulls. They have lost twice to the Raptors. And they've lost twice to the Celtics. Like, they literally just have like problems with 3 teams. And everybody else is like generally okay, although like that Hornets loss was bad. The Warriors loss was bad. The Portland loss was catastrophic, in my opinion. They just keep getting kind of hit with these losses over and over again. Bryan Fonseca, this is a team that I really thought was going to win like 65 games and cruise in the East. I thought they were going to be the juggernaut that the Knicks are. What are you on the lookout for? What do you think is the problem with the Cavaliers?
injuries feels like it feels too overly simplistic. But that's undoubtedly part of it. Darius Garland has not looked like Darius Garland. Evan Mobley's out. He wasn't for 25 games or so, but he's out for a little bit now. Jared Allen missed some time. Max Strus hasn't played. Sam Merrill's been on the injury report, although it looks like he's going to be back. Larry Nance Jr.'s out now. Like you go up and down the list. There's just so many injuries. You worry about Donovan Mitchell, who actually did miss last game because of an illness, but it looks like he's going to play Monday against the Hornets. This is a team like you. I was on their over. I thought that they would be the 1 seed, possibly going away. I thought they could get to 60-ish wins based on, Kenny's offense, what they did last year, based on them being a juggernaut. Their depth quickly, you saw it even in the Knicks game on opening night, their depth is not what we thought it would be. And part of that is also just the injury piece of this. But it just feels like we've gotten really quickly to, Donovan Mitchell has to carry this offense in a way that we didn't expect. And I also think we're waiting for this Evan Mobley leap that still hasn't come fully. A lot of people are putting Evan Mobley into top 15, 20, just unquestioned, and I don't feel like he's at that point. Like, we're putting him ahead of guys that he should not be ahead of right now. I think he's really good, really toolsy, and can be elite, can be a fringe MVP candidate someday, perhaps a real MVP candidate someday, all NBA, all those things. But he has not taken the leap yet. And I think some people believe that he's there. And one of the common things was, hey, this needs to be a 1-1A situation. Well, it's still a Donovan Mitchell team. Evan Mobley's not a 1A yet. And now he's hurt. So we can't even get like more answers to that. But Donovan Mitchell's never shot more in his career. Just straight up field goal attempts. He has never shot more. He's at 22 a game, and you feel it. He's working very, very hard to get these shots off. And it's worrisome because it's like you don't want him to go down either, because then the whole thing is going to collapse.
So this is the numbers perspective. The numbers are very, very clear about the problem. And it's Darius Garland. That is like the problem. Before he got back, they were like, they're not like doing great, but they're okay. Like, they're going to be fine. And then Darius came back, and since then, it's been a fucking disaster. And if you want the proof, here's the number. With Darius Garland on the floor in 393 minutes this year, they have a minus 7.3 net rating.
Ugh.
That is the Hornets. That is the non-LaMelo Hornets. With Garland on the bench, it's plus 5.2.
That's a 2-time All-Star also.
They are 12.5 points better with him on the bench. Now, DeAndre Hunter is right behind him, but like Garland is minus 7.3. Hunter is minus 3.1, where it's like, okay, not good, but it's not absolutely horrific. Yeah. Larry Nance Jr. may have just like, I think the time is just up. I just think his time has come and gone.
Yeah.
What's funny though is there are only of players with more than 103 minutes, because like Luke Travers has played 103, of players with more than 103 minutes on this team. There are only 4 players who have a negative net rating. Larry Nance, rookie Tyrese Proctor, who I did get his cards. Good for me. I got like a very like special edition Topps card for.
I just got a napkin for him, like a napkin patch.
Yeah. DeAndre Hunter and Darius Garland. Everybody else is in the positive. And then like when you go on Data Baller and you break it down, with Donovan Mitchell, they have a 122 offensive rating, 110 when he is without DeAndre Hunter and Darius Garland. They have killed in those minutes. They have been awesome. They're 12.2 net. They're great. With Donovan Mitchell and DeAndre Hunter, they're plus 7.2. Still really good. It's most of the offense, but who cares? It's really good. Donovan Mitchell and Darius Garland with DeAndre Hunter in 158 minutes is minus 6.3 net rating. Garland and Hunter together without Donovan is minus 19.3.
Good God.
I thought you were going to say like 13 or something.
No.
Like, they are the Wizards without Donovan Mitchell on the court.
Yeah, they're bad.
So like the real kind of thing is like the best players are not winning their minutes.
Mm-hmm.
And that's a big problem. Joe, Like, I would not be surprised. I think the move is going to be Jared Allen. That's what I think it's going to be. I just think the Garland thing is so complicated because it's just like, I think that they'd be better if they moved Darius Garland. I do, because I'm just like, look, you tried it. You wanted like a really balanced team with multiple all-stars, and you had that for a season. You're just going to have to go back to Donovan Mitchell and friends. Like, you're just going to have to. And Evan Mobley can be a heck of a friend. And if you add some more shooting and wings, you can still have a really great team. They're going to hold on because it's like, look, you're trading Darius Garland on a big money contract for a small guard with a bad playoff history and coming off a toe surgery in the offseason, which he's still dealing with. Like, the value is just terrible there. So it's going to be Jared Allen, I think, that if anybody gets moved, Joe.
Yeah, I tend to agree. I also think that the Jared Allen idea is kind of like maxed out here. Like, we kind of knew what Cleveland was going to try to do. Like, in theory, their best lineup was always going to be Mitchell, Garland, Hunter, and then the two bigs, Mobley and Allen. And it doesn't really give you a lot of flexibility. And I think it also is like, we're seeing some teams do the double big, but it works better if one of your bigs can effectively and consistently space the floor, and Mobley's not doing that. So I think that when you look at the situation and when you look at the roster composition, that's the best way to upgrade this team, because when Evan Mobley plays the 5, that's optimizing Evan Mobley. Like, whether he's ready to do it 100% of the time just yet, I don't know, but I think that he's got to get on that page in order for this team to continue to excel. And it's not like Donovan Mitchell's old, but this is his year 29 season. He's somebody that you have to keep trying to build around. You have to keep trying to say, like, we're going to push with Donovan Mitchell. You're the Cleveland Cavaliers. You're not bringing in free agents unless it's LeBron James, because he's from Cleveland. Like, there's nobody else. Like, the whole point with getting Donovan Mitchell was you traded for him and then you hoped that you could build a culture that would keep him there. But aside from that, like, you're not just going to go into free agency and get a marquee free agent. You need to make these moves. You have to try to do something else. And, you need to try to do your best around Donovan Mitchell while he's still in his prime, I think. So I think that you really have to be comfortable moving almost anybody that's realistically probably not named Evan Mobley. But honestly, depending on what the trade was, I don't see like why you wouldn't include Evan Mobley. Like, if Giannis is on the table, why wouldn't you trade Evan Mobley? Like, you should. I don't know if they would do that in division if you're Milwaukee, but Evan Mobley is probably about the best player you could get back in a Giannis trade. So I don't know. I'm kind of spitballing and I've kind of gone off the path here, but I do think that a Jared Allen trade would be the one that makes the most sense. And just looking at the Cavs overall, I think that one of the things that makes them feel potentially worse than they even are is they are the worst team in the NBA against the spread. They are 8-21, and they fail to cover by an average of 5.2 points. It's awful. So even when you're expecting them to win or like handedly, they're losing outright. And they're just not covering at all. So I think they're highly overrated by the public, and we're continuing to kind of see them either not cover, or they're making these games that, they're bigger favorites and they're not even they're either losing or they are struggling to keep the game out of reach. So I think that kind of compounds the perception of Cleveland as well.
One thing that's going to be tricky for them, if they're going to do a deal, they're almost definitely going to have to get below the second apron first.
Yep.
Yeah.
So there's ways to do this. Like, a good one might honestly be take Hunter or Allen and move them for multiple pieces that take up less salary, and then package those to move for something else. My dream, because I've been calling for this for weeks, I don't think that this is like, oh, this is going to be perfect. I'm not like, this is awesome. I'm just like, this is a move that makes sense, I think, for both sides. It's a gamble worth taking, is if the Cavaliers can get under the apron and then put together enough assets to trade for Domantas Sabonis, and you have Sabonis and Evan Mobley, with Mobley covering for Sabonis defensively, and then you have Sabonis as a weapon for Mitchell to work with. You're able to space the floor effectively. You have a hub on offense when Mitchell is not on the court. You surround him with, like, Mobley's a good enough shooter right now to provide the spacing that you need. You get 2 shooters, even if you move Garland in a separate deal, or that's how you get out under the tax. 2 shooters that can defend, Evan Mobley, and you have Sabonis and Mitchell. It's small guard and Sabonis in the playoffs. I get it, but you're in the East. That to me continues to be like not a bad plan.
The only thing I want to say about like the trade piece of this is, with Jared Allen, conceptually, he's the guy you want to trade, but he's about to be on an extension. His extension hasn't even kicked in yet. So he has 20 million this year, 28, 30, 32 after that. So like I don't know who's signing up to take on that contract right now. Whereas the DeAndre Hunter one is just 23 and 24. That's a lot more palatable. And Darius Garland, it's short term. It's a lot of money though, but it's 39, 5, then 42, then 44. So that one's, I don't think anyone's going to want that one either right now. The DeAndre Hunter one feels the most realistic, and Jared Allen, it's like you're going to be selling that at a loss, and I don't know if they can do that right now.
Okay, so there's a way to bet this, which we'll talk about coming up on our future of the week. But first, the Buckets podcast is sponsored by DraftKings Sportsbook. And in partnership with DraftKings, our listeners get a great offer. Right now, new customers can bet $5 and get $200 back in bonus bets if your bet wins. If sports betting is not yet available in your state, don't worry. You can still join in on all the fun with DraftKings Daily Fantasy Sports and have a shot to win cash prizes. To get started, use promo code BucketsNBA when signing up with DraftKings. Again, use code BucketsNBA when signing up and bet $5 to get $200 back in bonus bets if your bet wins. The crown is yours. And speaking of, we do have ourselves a future of the week because, well, we're going to play a pretty direct line. What's going to happen here is Brian and Joe are going to try and make the argument for this, and I'm going to try and not throw up because it makes me extremely nervous for reasons that I'll get into. But what we're going to do here is we're going to do our future of the week, brought to you by DraftKings Sportsbook. And Brian, what are we doing here?
The Cleveland Cavaliers to miss the playoffs.
To miss the playoffs in the Eastern Conference. There is no better indication that you are truly terrible than missing the playoffs in the Eastern Conference. It is a truly horrific outcome for the Cavaliers season, where Kenny Atkinson would definitely get fired and there would be trades everywhere if they missed the playoffs entirely. Make the case for me, Brian.
So the number on DraftKings right now is 750. A week ago, I grabbed this and put it in the app at plus 1,000. And the reason was kind of what we're talking about. The way it's trending, it doesn't look great. Even right now, they're about 7th or 8th in the East. I think they're 7th now because the Heat lost to the Knicks today. But in looking at the landscape of the Eastern Conference, you're going to have all these teams that are bunched up. That's going to be like that seemingly all season. The Pistons, the Knicks, the Celtics, the Sixers, the Magic. I feel pretty good about all of them making the playoffs, even the Sixers right now, Joel Embiid notwithstanding. And then otherwise, you need 3 other teams. I like the Raptors. I like the Heat. I think that they've dropped off, obviously, and I don't think that they are who they were in the first month of the season or a few weeks of the season. I don't think they're who they are now either. I think the truth is somewhere in the middle. I think they'll both get in. The Heat probably will have to go through to play in. The Raptors might as well. The Hawks are 15 and 15. I think that should improve. Ideally, Jalen Johnson needs to stay healthy for that to happen, though. And then we'll see what happens with some of the others. But at this point, Cleveland feels like they're hanging on by a thread, and the thread is Donovan Mitchell. And if anything were to happen to Donovan Mitchell, who, again, right now is getting really overworked, that would be where everything could just go to shit. So to me, I don't think they're actually going to miss, but at plus 750 and where I grabbed it earlier, I just think you have to take a chance at it, because there's a world where this is just the season from hell team in the Eastern Conference, and all the signs are pointing to this right now. Maybe they get out of it, but I think it's worth betting that they don't, even though I think that they're a playoff team.
Joe?
The number is tasty here. And I mean, if you look at the standings, like they're literally one loss away from being the 10 seed. So, you're sitting in a situation where especially if Milwaukee doesn't trade Giannis, um, it's pretty probable that the Bucks are probably going to end up in the play-in area of the Eastern Conference as well then. And if that's the case and you're in a one-game winner go home situation against Giannis Antetokounmpo, I don't care who you got on your team, it's not an ideal scenario to be in. So I think that given the way the Eastern Conference kind of is shaping up, it's not a bad number at all. Especially with what looks to be a lot of flexibility between seeds, say 3 through 11, I would say.
Isn't like this the opposite of what we're supposed to do? Like, aren't we supposed to be buying the buy low spot here on a team that we knew was good, that we know is talented, that their losses are inexplicable to the Raptors, the Bulls? The Celtics losses are understandable. Like, doesn't this go against like every principle of finding value at this point? And instead, or are we, I understand the idea of not recognizing how vulnerable they really are. Like a good, my power rating in my in-season power rating still has them at 7th right now. Like I have them finishing in the play-in tournament, 1 game from being, or 2 games from being eliminated from the play-in tournament. I'm like, isn't this like the absolute bottom of their value and we should be looking the other way, Brian?
Well, there's a world where they just get it together and we call this at a good number. But like if you're telling me, okay, they're going to be a play-in team, that's not good either, because then it's like, all right, you have a single elimination tournament essentially. If you're in the 7 or 8, you have to play for the 7th seed, then you have to play for the 8th seed if you lose that game. So, and if people want to be more conservative, yes, you could look at Cavs to miss the play-in. The number probably won't be as juicy, obviously. But I just think that, again, Pistons, Knicks, Celtics, Sixers, Magic all look fine. And I think the Raptors and Heat will get into at least the play-in. I think the Hawks will get into at least the play-in. That's 8 teams right there. Joe brought up if Giannis stays in Milwaukee, which, look, if they're talking about potentially being buyers because, they did one of the worst transactions in modern NBA history in waiving and stretching Damian Lillard. So now they're going to be in cap hell. Inevitably, they're like, might as well go down in a ball of flames. Then maybe they just stay buyers and they have Giannis, who's still the best player in the Eastern Conference. And then, look, the Bulls, the Hornets, the Nets, one of them could get into the play-in and make this a little dicey. So I just think with me, there's a world where this is just a season from hell team. And if Donovan Mitchell, small guard who creates a ton of offense and has never shot more, isn't able to stay healthy, then because if Donovan Mitchell goes down within the next couple of weeks, then this number is gone. This number is gone. And if Darius Garland is as bad as the number suggests, which is the truth, that Evan Mobley's not going to be back for a little while, yeah, I don't see any reason why this is a bad thing to lob into your portfolio right now.
Okay. Well, Cavaliers to miss the playoffs is your Buckets Future of the Week, brought to you by DraftKings Sportsbook. The crown is yours. Okay, let's do some best bets here in the association for Monday. And we'll start with Joe Dellera. Joe, what's your 3-star play of the night?
I'm looking at Con Kneppel over 17.5 points against the Cleveland Cavaliers, who we are just fading in every way possible. So Con has been playing really well lately. Honestly, he's been playing really well the entire season, averaging 19.4 points per game. I think this prop has come down a little bit recently, given the fact that like LaMelo's back, the team is for the most part healthy, but we are still dealing with the situation where LaMelo's on the report. He's listed as probable. Colin Sexton is listed as doubtful. And when Sexton's out, Con has been even better. He's averaging 24.9 points per game, including a 29-point effort against these Cavaliers about 10 days or about like 8 days ago or so, a week ago. That game, it did go to overtime. He played 44 minutes, but he put up 29 points. So obviously cleared this line by margin. To me, I think that the matchup in particular is strong. Cleveland is relatively weak in terms of guarding spot up shooting, and that's something that Khan is excellent at. Cleveland still is running into some issues, I think, personnel wise, given that DeAndre Hunter has not been particularly good. But then you're dealing with both Donovan Mitchell, Darius Garland. Neither is a particularly strong defender. Jalen Tyson, rookie. You're running out Lonzo Ball, who's not like the biggest dude either. And Khan is a little bit of a mismatch from a size perspective against some of those guys. So I think this has been a really good matchup for it is a really good matchup for Khan, and I expect him to go over the 17.5 points line. It wouldn't surprise me to see this close at like the 18.5 or 19.5 point range. And I would definitely take it even at the 18. And if it goes there and, we're looking at a lot of juice, 20 plus at plus money is not going to be a bad look either. He's been kind of consistently going over this number. And in 7 games without Sexton, he's hit this in 6 of 7, the one miss still being at 14. So he's definitely getting his shots up, definitely getting his looks up. And I think that, again, this Cleveland team is kind of spiraling, and I don't expect that to necessarily stabilize right away either.
The Cleveland Cavaliers give up the 8th most catch and shoot threes in the NBA this season per game. So based off of their scheme, there's going to be opportunities there for Con Knippel. Bryan Fonseca, your 3-star.
Wendell Carter Jr. over 20.5 points plus rebounds. So Wendell Carter Jr. absolutely shredded Golden State last time these two teams played each other. Had about 17 and 12. Now, this is a post Franz Wagner magic because he's still injured. But since then, Wendell Carter Jr. has been over in all but one matchup in this prop. The one was a 14 and 6 against the Knicks, which unfortunately I do think there was a rebound taken away. Not that I was monitoring that for any particular reason. But the NBA feels like they've been, no, not the NBA, the statisticians or whatever. I feel like they've been doing a lot of that this year. But regardless, Wendell Carter Jr., 14, 14, 26, and 14 just points in his last 4 games. This is with just Paolo, without Franz Wagner. And the rebounds have been consistent. I don't know if I'm going to sprinkle on a double-double here because he only has 4 of those and he doesn't rebound a ton. But this is a good matchup against Golden State, who allows around the 9th most rebounds per 100 possessions. They're better at guarding the paint than I think people may think at times, but Wendell Carter Jr. will still get his. And also, he's spraying out the 3-point range this year, shooting 43% or so and getting up decent amount of attempts, 2, 3, 4 consistently, 4 for 7 against Denver the other night, which was fairly surprising. But I like the matchup, like the spot, and the opponent. I mean, speaking of teams that are kind of reeling, Golden State has seen better days, and they're still straddling 500. So I like this for Wendell Carter Jr. tonight.
He has been so good for them this year.
Really good. Yeah.
He's just been good. Like every time I watch the Magic play, and I really don't think that he gets enough credit for what he's brought to the table, especially with all their injuries. Like he has been such a stabilizing force. I love their center rotation between him and Goga.
Agree. So
much. Like it's just like they're not spectacular, they're not big like profile, but they're just solid all over. I've loved the way that WCJ has played this year, and his ability to stretch the floor I think is really significant too. Should have those opportunities too versus the Warriors. I'm going to go with Grizz Thunder under 228.5. So this one is based off of a trend play and my model projection. From a model standpoint, unsurprisingly, I make this like way under. I get to, it's not shocking given how bad the Grizzlies offense tends to be, but you've got, I've got this all the way down to 223. So I've got a big 5-point edge here on the number. And this is, the Grizzlies are the 29th ranked team in overrate this season when they're on the road. OKC is a little bit higher because OKC does tend to blow out teams, but when you kind of look at like all of the factors, Grizzlies are 24th in half court because it turns out that Taylor Jenkins wasn't the problem and they still can't score. I've liked the way that they've played lately, and I understand the idea of like, well, no Zach Edey, defensively, but like Brandon Clark's back, and I actually think that kind of matters here a little bit. Memphis's half-court defense is not good, but it's not horrific at 18th, and it's been trending up over the last couple of weeks. They've been much better defensively. Like, this has been a pretty good stretch for them. OKC also is number 1 in transition defense per possession, and that's a huge part of Memphis's offensive attack. They want to get out in transition. That is what they want to do, and quite honestly, like, OKC just doesn't let you do that, and they shut you down. The turnovers is always a problem here. Memphis is 18th in turnover rate. That could lead to a lot of easy points for OKC. And I do tend to wind up in trouble sometimes projecting the under, where it's like, this is under until there's a point where OKC just starts absolutely hammering the opponent, and then they go over. But I'm willing to go ahead and take the under here. If you want to just play Grizzlies team total under, I don't think that that's a bad idea here. But I do think that OKC coming off that loss is going to be like, they're going to be ferocious. And I think that Memphis is walking into an absolute thresher here. So I like Grizz Thunder under 228.5 for my 3-star play of the night. Joe Dellera, let's talk about your 3 or your 2 and your 1-star.
Yeah, so I'm going to be on Tim Hardaway Jr. over 12.5 points. I think it's a great spot against this Utah Jazz team, who obviously plays fast. They have one of the worst defenses in the league. And I think it's a good bounce back spot almost for Tim Hardaway Jr. after playing a couple tougher matchups in the Rockets and the Orlando Magic to kind of get a little bit more loose, I think, in the spot against the Utah Jazz. Additionally, it does look like Peyton Watson is probably going to be back here. Matt, I know you mentioned to us before we were recording that he kind of gone through some of the warm-ups. Last game, they just decided to hold him out. I think that this is helpful for Tim Hardaway Jr., bring him back off the bench, get some of those bench splits anyway. But he's excellent, obviously, on above the break threes, is great in getting out in transition, does generate enough contact when he does drive to the rack to get to the free throw line, all areas that the Utah Jazz tend to struggle with. So I think it's a good spot for him at over 12.5 points. It's a game that I would say that Denver is going to want. They just lost by 14 against the Houston Rockets after winning a couple games in a row. So I think they're going to want to get back on track, beat this Jazz team that they really should be able to beat on a consistent basis. And I think Tim Hardaway Jr., who has been pretty consistent in terms of a floor anyway, without Christian Brown and Aaron Gordon, I think that we might see a couple more minutes. And again, in maybe a softer matchup coming off the bench with Peyton Watson returning. So I like Tim Hardaway Jr. over 12.5 points. And for my 3-star play, I'm going to the Pistons and the Blazers game. And I was looking at Asar Thompson over 17.5 points, rebounds, and assists. It's a number he's hit in 60% of games this season, including a 21 PRA effort against these same Portland Trailblazers. He had a pretty good game there, 15 points, 4 rebounds, 2 assists. He actually only converted on 4 of his 10 rebound chances there as well. So I think that the style of play that he has is conducive for this particular matchup. Portland likes to kind of run and gun. And I think that his athleticism, his length as well, is going to help him in this particular matchup, either running out in transition for the offense or being able to cover on a diverse range of players or actions on the defensive side of the ball. Opens up plenty of rebounding opportunities because the Portland Trailblazers obviously don't have a particularly strong offense either. And I think that he's going to be able to get enough minutes where against this relatively weak Portland Trailblazers defense that I don't mind adding in the assists here either. So I think it's 17.5. It's a number, again, that he's gone over in really 16 of 24 games this season. So that's 2/3 of the games this season, averaging 20 PRA. I think it's a good spot for him against this Portland Trailblazers team. So I'll back Asar Thompson as well.
I think it's a really good look. I think I like this one. I mean, I like all your plays here. They're all strong. On Tim Hardaway Jr., he plays great with the bench and he struggles with the starting unit. That's kind of been the MO on him this season. And that's really is kind of like where he's been at as far as how his performance has been impacted is he's just much better with the bench unit. He's actually better. Let me correct that. He's better in the stagger minutes with Jokic rather than the starting minutes. Yeah. He gets a little bit lost in there, but even then, with Valanciunas on the court, he averages 18.3 per 75 possessions via data baller versus 16.2 without him. So I think Peyton Watson plays in this game because Peyton went through his full workout on Saturday versus the Rockets, and they were just like, yeah, we're not going to bring you back versus Houston. So I think Peyton, he's been upgraded to questionable. I think he plays in this game. If he gives it a go, even if he's on a minutes limit, that means Tim's coming back off the bench again. No Spencer Jones on the injury report. There was some concern he was hurt. I didn't hear anything about that. I don't know where that came from. So the starters will be Peyton Watson, Spencer Jones, and then Tim Hardaway Jr. will come off the bench, stagger in the Jokic minutes, and then stagger with the Valanciunas minutes, and those are really good.
I feel like he doesn't have great. I don't know if chemistry is the right word, but I think that he's like a little redundant to some of the Cam Johnson minutes, where when you stagger them, it's kind of separate what they do because it's fairly similar. That I think it's to his benefit to play off the bench anyway.
Brian, your 2 and your 1 stars.
2-star play. We're going back to Jalen Tyson. Went under last game, but I'm taking him over 19.5 PR. So this was 21.5 because he'd been killing 19.5, and before that 16.5 and 17.5 and 15.5. Finally caught up to him and didn't have Donovan Mitchell last game. So Jalen Tyson went under the 21.5, which actually moved to 23.5 when Donovan Mitchell was declared out. But he plays better when playing off of Donovan Mitchell, evidently. Jalen Tyson is over this in 9 of 13, has not gone under in back-to-back games in any point in that stretch. And I just think this is a buy low is probably a little strong, but buy low relative to his last effort, where this was 14 or 4 rather higher at 23.5. He shot 4 for 10 last game. That's an anomaly based on what we've seen him do lately, because in the 7 games leading up to that stretch, he was shooting 64% from the field, which probably is not necessarily the norm either, and 48% from 3. But he's been very efficient. He plays big minutes for them. He has to. He's in the starting lineup, and they need him because he's been more impactful than DeAndre Hunter this season. So I think in what kind of feels like a must-win coming off a 3-game losing streak against the Charlotte Hornets, Jalen Tyson could play potentially a big role here. So I'm going over the 19.5 PR. And then my 1-star, Isaiah Stewart. I'm just doing all PRs today. Isaiah Stewart over 13.5 PR against the Portland Trailblazers. I was looking for something in this matchup. They had a very interesting game last time they played. Tumani Kamara, who I thought about taking his over in that game, didn't. He did not do anything statistically, but he was guarding a lot. Cade Cunningham at different stretches. But Isaiah Stewart, I'm not really worried about the Blazers' second unit in terms of him getting to what he can do, which is his defensive versatility, which will help him on the glass, but also the offense. He's been very efficient this year. He's been impactful this year again. And I don't think the numbers fully capture that, although numbers-wise, he's over his PR in 5 straight games. And I don't see a reason to sort of back off of this one. So we're going to ride the hot hand with Isaiah Stewart as my 1-star.
Blazers bottom 10 in points in the paint allowed per 100 possessions, and they play fast. So Stu should be able to hit the offensive glass a little bit. Obviously, he spaces from the floor as well.
Yep.
But pretty good look there. I like that. For my 2-star, this is one of my favorite plays in that I'm doing right now, and I'm honestly a little bit don't really want to talk about it because it's been so good. Svi Mikhailiuk over on threes. 2 plus 3s is plus 114 right now, DK. Here's the deal. The Denver Nuggets are employing a different defensive system this season. There's 2 kind of ways that you can approach closing out when you're putting pressure on ball and pick and roll, right? You could do what's called X outs, which is one guy goes up and the other guy goes down and you X out. You're making an X with the 2 cross outs. The other alternative here that what you're trying to do is and you can do both actually. You can slice and you can X out, but it's called slice. And what they're doing is Denver is tactically deciding that they want to take away the extra pass, that it's not just pick and roll, guy kicks to the corner. They don't want the kick to the corner. The guy flies out to try and guard that. He passes up and you get an even better shot. It's you take, passing up a good shot for a great shot. They want to take that away. And what they do is when they close out on the corner is they actually close out high. So they give up. They're trying to intercept the passing lane to cut that off. The objective is to close out hard enough to force him to drive into help and make it such a thin slice that he's got to navigate that there's not enough room for him and he has to reset the ball. The trigger mechanism that happens though is you're closing out from the side, and most shooters will just take that shot. That if they know you're playing that passing lane, they are happy to go ahead and trigger that. Denver gives up the number one volume of 3-point attempts from the corners per game. It is where they get hit, because not only do they do this slicing coverage on their closeouts, they also play at the level often with both Jokic and with Valanciunas. And on the other side of this, they also zone up in 2-3 with their double big lineup. And if Peyton Watson doesn't play, you'll see Jonas Valanciunas and Jokic play together. That leaves Jokic in the end of a 2-3 zone, which means Nikola Jokic has to close out on shooters. Spoiler alert, he doesn't. He just watches them shoot, and they can it every single time. Because Joker's like, I'm not going out there.
Yeah.
I'm not going out there.
It's not going to happen.
I've seen him do this
So
many times.
yes.
Maybe in the playoffs, but not now.
Definitely in Eurobasket, he does that also.
Yeah.
Svi Mikhailiuk for the Utah Jazz leads in corner 3-point attempts per game this season at 2.1, shooting 46% from the corners. Lauri Markkanen is questionable for this game. He shoots 53%. If he plays, feel free to play him because he's at 1.6. I would imagine they would probably have a little bit better coverage on him, but I would have thought the same thing about other guys that they leave open all the time too. What I will tell you is that the last game, as an example of this, I played Jabari Smith Jr. and Josh Okogie overs, and they both cashed in the first half. Now, that was an extreme game in terms of the Rockets shooting performance, but it's also based off of opportunity. You can generate corner threes versus Denver. They will hit them. This is an inefficiency in the market. Svi 2+3s +114. And my final play on the night is just going to be Celtics -9.5. Got the model, got the number backing it. Boston's good in the spot. The Pacers, I think, kind of had a moment where they were doing okay, and then now they've fallen back to earth. Celtics are 9th best this season against the spread at home. This is 9.5. I make it 14. So I think this is more likely to be a blowout for Boston than anything else. Yes, you want to keep an eye out for the injury stuff. I know that they've got that Jaylen Brown's been sick. I know that that's a problem. He's questionable for this game. Jordan Walsh is questionable with this game. They both got the whatever's going around that my entire house has, but there's an opportunity there, I think, to get in on Boston. I will like them even if Jaylen Brown does not play at whatever the shorter number is. So feel free to wait on it. Those are your best bets for Monday in the association. We will go ahead and run those back over here one more time for you from Joe Dellera and Bryan Fonseca. Good night of best bets. Our best bet on the future play was Cavs to miss the playoffs +750. Joe Dellera likes Con Knippel over 17.5 points. Tim Hardaway Jr. over 12.5 points. Asar Thompson over 17.5 PRA. I'm on Grizz Thunder under 228.5. Svi 2+3s +114, and the Celtics -9.5. Bryan Fonseca likes Wendell Carter Jr. WCJ over 20.5 PR. Jalen Tyson over 19.5 PR, and Isaiah Stewart over 13.5 PR. That's going to do it for best bets and buckets here for a Monday. Hope you guys have a great start to your holiday week. We'll be with you tomorrow night for another Best Bets episode. We'll have a Christmas extravaganza for you on Tuesday night. Thanks to David Payne, our producer. Gifford Gould getting us up at youtube.com. We'll see you guys again next time. Until then, let's get buckets.